What's going on, guys? This is John Zakari, and I've got to say, I've been a bit disappointed with some of my recent game purchases. Just this week, I went to Best Buy to pick up a copy of Battlefront on PC, and when I got home and opened up the box, there was no disc. Not even a space for a disc. All that was in there was a sheet with a download code. I also recently got the Pip-Boy edition of Fallout 4 for PC, which came with a disc, but it only had a few gigs of the game on it. An additional 20 or so gigs needed to be downloaded. On top of this, even though I haven't personally experienced it, I've heard that there have been similar issues with major game releases like Halo 5 and Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, some may not see a problem here. I did end up getting to play the games I paid for, and I think they're both great. So why do I want them physical, on a disc? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. First, let me play the role of old man for a minute and tell you about what it was like buying a game when I was a kid. To say the least, it was an event. Games actually sold out back then, so when there was a major release, I had to try to get my parents to rush me to the store as soon as possible, often right after school. I'd buy the game and proceed to fawn over the box the whole ride home, gazing at the sick box art as well as the sweet screenshots and over-the-top descriptions on the back. You can still do that today, but the next step was cracking open the box and going through the manual. Oh yeah, if you were playing games in the 90s and earlier, you probably have a list of your favorite game manuals because they were awesome. Descriptions that set up the backstory of the game, more screenshots, character art, etc. These were a major part of the gaming experience back then. Nowadays, you get stuff like this. What is this shit? Yeah, you just spent over $60, but hey, here's how you can give us more money, idiot. Awesome. Thanks. Look at this. Here I got a picture, and it's not even of the game I just bought. Is there anything on the back? Oh god, just leave it like that. And don't get me wrong, I get that this digital stuff makes things easier. You can buy games without leaving the house, and don't even have to get your fat ass off the couch when you want to switch games. It's nice. But for people like me, there's just way more perks to having something physical. For one, there's a sense of ownership. Rather than when you buy a game digitally or it's tied to some DRM, a physical game is yours. You can play it where and whenever you want, loan it out to your friends to play, or even sell it. No matter what, it will be here for you years from now. Like the Nintendo games I've had for over 20 years, I can pop them in whenever I want to play them. With digital games, we're not as sure yet. We trust that these companies will have them available for us to download in the future, but say Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, or even Valve decide to discontinue their respective services sometime in the distant future. Will we still be able to download games we bought from them decades ago? We hope so, but again, just can't really know for sure. For those of us who've kept and continue to buy lots of games over the years, our collections themselves make fine displays and conversation pieces. Friends of mine consistently find themselves sifting through my racks of games, picking up titles they find interesting, or ones that remind them of their personal gaming past. If you watch a lot of gaming YouTubers, you'll probably notice many of them use their gaming collections as backgrounds for their videos. They're eye-catching, and you can even find yourself getting lost while going through them. God, every time I watch an AlphaOmegaSin video, I just want that Juliet cutout. Perhaps the most famous of these collections belongs to the angry video game nerd James Rolfe, as his collection isn't only often featured prominently in his videos, but sometimes it even plays a pivotal role in the nerd's adventures, like that time when Rob the Robot changed all of his games into copies of Gyromite and Stack Up.
You're doing this, you cybernetic shit sucker!
And there's even shows dedicated to hunting down and procuring physical games, like Pat the NES Punk's Flea Market Madness and The Game Chasers. These shows convey the idea that all the games in our collection have a story, whether it's how we got them or memories we have playing them. I know for me personally, the games I still have from my childhood could never be replaced. Like, here's one of my favorite games from back in the day, Aladdin on Super Nintendo, and I still have my original game cartridge. Or even my very first game, Super Mario World. It was about 22 years ago when I got this game, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. So, with the gaming world seeing a shift towards digital, does that mean that this is all over? Not really. For one thing, as long as there's the demand for physical games, developers will be forced to make them. Look at when Microsoft tried to implement all of those DRM policies with the Xbox One. The gaming community was so outraged that they were forced to go back on them. And even indie games like Shovel Knight are getting physical retail copies due to ongoing support from fans. And we're also seeing growth in ways we could never have imagined back in the day. Like, how about collector's editions? These are often chock full of a bevy of physical contents, like statues, action figures, art books, and soundtrack CDs. I mean, what I would give for there have to been this sort of stuff when I was a kid. Could you imagine what a collector's edition would look like for a game like Chrono Trigger or Resident Evil 2? Sure, my parents wouldn't be buying them for me, but they'd be sweet nonetheless. And how about the boom of the Toys to Life category? You can't get much more physical than dozens of figures that work within a single game. And as we've seen more ventures in this field, from Skylanders to Amiibo, most are hitting home runs. So I'm certain this area is only going to grow in the future. So yeah, I'm sure one day it will all be digital. It's inevitable. But it's not that time yet. Like I said, if people are vocal and let game companies know they still want physical games, then they'll have to keep producing them. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Let me know if you think we still need physical games in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to my channel now, and you can say you were a subscriber before it was cool. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.